Today, we are going to dive deep into a topic that so many people ask about all the time. Can a person with narcissistic traits actually shed real tears? Do they truly experience genuine emotional pain inside? The definitive answer to that question is yes. They absolutely do. People with narcissism do feel real emotions even though they constantly pretend to be the victim or act like the entire world has treated them unfairly. That exact same emotional sensitivity that allows them to play the victim so convincingly is also the very thing that makes them incredibly easy to wound. A narcissist possesses an exceptionally fragile ego, and almost anything you say or do can bruise their self-esteem. Some actions might only startle or frighten them a little bit. Other actions, however, can inflict real lasting damage on how they perceive themselves and their place in the world. If a painful blow happens to come from someone the narcissist actually respects or looks up to, the impact can be completely devastating. Absolutely nothing hurts a narcissist more than a direct challenge to their personal pride or their deep-rooted need for total control. It does not matter at all if that specific challenge happens out in public for everyone to see or completely in private behind closed doors. The sting of the wound is exactly the same either way. To put it in very simple terms, narcissists are the primary authors of their own misery. They build this unhappiness every single day through constant lying, through pretending to be someone they are not, and through a deep sense of internal insecurity. None of these self-destructive behaviors would matter very much to anyone else except for the fact that narcissists genuinely view themselves as completely untouchable. Because of this mindset, the exact moment they feel challenged or questioned, they immediately want payback in their own mind. Everyone else around them should have to carry the heavy burden of their emotional pain, while they should never have to feel a single ounce of discomfort. I have also noticed that narcissism is being discussed more and more frequently as a very real mental health issue in our modern world. What these individuals actually need from the family, friends, and partners around them is a great deal of compassion and a lot of patience. Right now, the narcissist in your life is very likely acting in a completely hypocritical way. They are saying one thing while doing something entirely different, and they are counting on your natural kindness to give them yet another second chance. That specific reliance on your empathy is exactly why they remain so incredibly vulnerable to being deeply hurt. So let us not waste any more of your valuable time. Here are 3 sure ways that people end up deeply hurting a narcissist's feelings. The first way involves being pushed aside and completely left out of things. Narcissists simply cannot handle being told the absolute truth about their personal flaws and mistakes. Even the smallest, most constructive criticism cuts them incredibly deep because their emotional skin is paper thin. They live in constant terror of being left alone because they survive entirely on a steady diet of praise and attention from the people around them. A narcissist simply cannot function in daily life without other people constantly feeding their fragile ego. The truly difficult part of this dynamic is that once you get pulled into their personal world, it becomes extremely hard to break free from their grasp. These days, narcissists have an easier time than ever before, largely thanks to the rise of social media platforms and instant messaging apps. They have successfully constructed a convenient online fantasy world where they can receive an endless stream of praise and validation without ever having to be physically present with another human being. This digital environment allows them to sustain superficial relationships that would completely fall apart for most normal people who require genuine face-to-face contact. A narcissist, however, can live perfectly well off a steady daily stream of digital likes, online comments, and superficial compliments. For the time being, that is more than enough to keep their shallow fantasies and twisted emotional needs alive. The second thing that a narcissist fears most of all is being completely exposed for who they really are. I have already covered this specific topic in a previous video, so I will not go over every single detail again right now. However, it is a well-known fact that narcissists care an immense amount about their public image. They will willingly tell lie after lie just to protect how other people perceive them. Their entire existence becomes a highly calculated performance meant to convince the world that they are far more successful, far more interesting, and much more impressive than they actually are in reality. So when that carefully constructed image starts to show major cracks in front of an audience, the emotional pain they experience must be truly unbearable. Watching their entire fake world completely fall apart right before their eyes is easily one of the worst things that can ever happen to them. The third and final thing that truly impacts a narcissist in a negative way is being insulted. Narcissists are actually very highly aware of exactly how their words affect the emotions of other people. They know precisely what they are doing when they choose to use dishonest, manipulative words to intentionally hurt someone else. But if you turn that behavior right back around on them, a narcissist suddenly cannot handle even the most honest, fair criticism directed at their own actions. Being completely truthful with a narcissist is viewed as an absolute crime in their eyes. This reaction happens all the time. Any form of criticism aimed at the perfect image they have built is immediately taken as a deeply personal attack. You will quickly start to notice that narcissists are especially sensitive to insults because deep down inside, they are already incredibly insecure and highly anxious. Unfortunately for them, they always have some major flaw hiding just underneath the surface. And that is simply the sad truth of the matter. Things do not look good for them at all once their authentic self gets completely exposed to the light. They often struggle to comprehend even the most basic, simple ideas about themselves and their own problematic behaviors. So, in the end, these are the three specific things that are most likely to truly affect a narcissist in a profoundly negative way. Once you take the time to look closely at them, their deep weaknesses become incredibly obvious. They are sneaky. They constantly manipulate the people around them, and underneath all of that armor, they are just scared and deeply insecure individuals. That is really everything I wanted to share with you on that part of the topic today. So I will wrap those specific points up right here. I truly hope all of you have a wonderful rest of your week, and thank you so much for taking the time to listen to these insights. Now let us transition and talk about the absolute best way to truly get back at a narcissist who is currently in your life. Absolutely nothing makes a narcissist more intensely jealous and deeply envious than watching you successfully move on and find genuine happiness completely without them. That is honestly the single worst thing you can ever do to them because it fills their entire soul with bitter envy. Narcissists are fundamentally incapable of finding true happiness on their own. Even the ones who are incredibly successful financially or highly accomplished in their professional careers never feel genuinely satisfied with their lives. This is because nothing they acquire is ever enough to fill their constant bottomless need for attention and praise. Narcissists actually get a very strange, dark kind of satisfaction from watching other people suffer. Seeing someone else feel incredibly sad, lonely, or emotionally broken makes them feel just a little bit less alone in their own deep internal emptiness, even if it is only for a brief moment. You must always keep in mind that narcissists actively try to make life as difficult as possible for everyone around them. The old saying that misery loves company describes their daily mindset perfectly. But you need to remember this crucial truth. Your own mental, physical, and emotional health matters far more than anything a narcissist thinks, says, or does. Narcissists can sense almost right away when you are hurting inside. They can also tell immediately when you are holding on to deep resentment, or if you are still secretly open to forgiving them for what they did. They look for these signs because that emotional attachment is exactly what makes you an easy target for them to pull right back into their chaotic world. Because of this, you must keep a safe distance from narcissists and also from the people who actively support them. These enablers are sometimes called flying monkeys, and they will do absolutely everything in their power to keep you feeling small, weak, and stuck in place. If you truly want to protect yourself from the manipulation of a narcissist, the absolute healthiest step you can take is to completely stop engaging with them and with the people who back them up. Keeping them around in your life, even just a little bit, only serves to drastically slow down your personal healing journey. Of course, exactly how long that emotional healing takes will depend entirely on how much severe damage was done to you in the first place. If you absolutely do have to interact with a narcissist due to work or family obligations despite trying your best to avoid them, staying completely steady emotionally is your absolute key to survival. One incredibly helpful approach is to simply treat them as if they are entirely invisible and just walk right past them without offering any sort of reaction. The most powerful, life-changing thing you can do in that moment is to stay completely quiet and keep your own inner peace fully intact. This works so well because narcissists genuinely struggle to understand or cope with a person who flat out refuses to engage in their drama. Narcissists will often go looking for their old victims for the sole purpose of bringing up ancient arguments and conflicts again and again. They fully expect that your life without them has been incredibly hard and miserable, and they desperately want to see you struggling because that sight makes them feel immensely powerful. Once a narcissist finally realizes that you are no longer interested in playing their endless game of back and forth, they completely lose that intoxicating sense of control. They actually enjoy watching you spiral into intense anger, deep resentment, and a burning need for revenge because those exact emotions keep you tightly chained to them. Remaining stuck in those heavy feelings of helplessness only keeps you trapped in the negative situation for a much longer period of time. At the same time, if you choose to carry a highly negative outlook on life, you may accidentally end up attracting even more negativity into your daily experience. If you want to truly transform your life after going through the ringer of narcissistic abuse, you need to be entirely willing to shift the way you think, the way you feel, and how you grow as a human being. Always try your hardest to stay incredibly brave in every single part of your journey forward into the future. When narcissists see someone they once deeply hurt doing exceptionally well in life, it can actually trigger profound feelings of sadness, inadequacy, or jealousy deep within them. Even if they pretend to act happy for you on the outside, deep down in their core, they may still bitterly resent you for how much damage their own actions caused to the relationship in the first place. If you manage to keep your inner light burning brightly despite every single piece of garbage they put you through, it tends to make them even more intensely frustrated and openly hostile toward you. It becomes almost impossible for them to accept the reality that you have successfully moved forward and built a vastly better life for yourself without their presence. Choosing to consciously treat a narcissist as if they do not matter to you at all is one of the fastest, most effective ways to deeply upset them. It very likely causes them real significant emotional distress, even if they vow to never show it openly to the world. Around this specific time in your recovery, you may start to notice the narcissist beginning to circle back around your life, testing the waters to see how you respond and looking for any available way back into your good graces. Getting close to a narcissist again is always an incredibly risky move. So unless they genuinely apologize from the bottom of their heart and fully admit they were completely wrong for how they treated you, it is always best to keep that door firmly closed and completely ignore any desperate attempts they make to contact you. Sometimes they will try a grand romantic gesture or display a sudden, incredibly sweet moment just to win you back and make you second-guess your solid decision to walk away, but they only do this to return right back to the exact same harmful, abusive patterns the very moment you let your guard down again. If you happen to know that a former narcissist is actively watching your progress and tracking your growth, the absolute best course of action is to keep your distance completely. Your personal worth as a human being does not depend on whether they ever recognize it or validate it. Your continued success and your emotional growth naturally become a massive source of deep jealousy for them. This happens because your progress serves as a constant painful reminder of their own personal shortcomings. It highlights the uncomfortable fact that they will never truly be able to match your emotional depth, your quality as a person, or your level of emotional maturity. Thriving and building a beautiful life despite everything you went through during the period of narcissistic abuse is truly the greatest form of payback there is. Because of this, you must protect your inner calm and keep your inner light burning bright. Do not allow anyone else to ever take that away from you. I really hope that everything I have shared with you today helps you in some way on your personal journey. I wish you an incredibly peaceful and good week ahead, and I will definitely see you again in our next video. Now, let us move right along to 9 distinct signs that strongly suggest a narcissist actually likes you and desperately wants you back in their life. One incredibly important behavior to understand in this context is something commonly called hoovering. This is a highly calculated form of emotional manipulation that a narcissist will deploy the very moment they sense they are completely losing their grip and their control over you. The actual term hoovering comes directly from the concept of a vacuum cleaner, representing the idea of sucking something back in quickly and forcefully. It is simply another toxic tactic designed to pull you right back into the familiar cycle of abuse so they can continue using you to satisfy their own endless needs. From their incredibly self-centered point of view, the story they tell themselves is always exactly the same. They believe that you were the one who abruptly ended things with them simply because they stopped caring about you the exact moment the initial honeymoon phase faded away. It is a very common and highly predictable pattern. They start with a wonderful first impression, which is quickly followed by behavior that turns incredibly unpleasant and toxic over time. So, how do you actually recognize the warning signs that a narcissist is slowly and intentionally draining your life energy? Make sure to stick with this video all the way until the very end, because I am going to walk you through 9 clear, undeniable signals that prove a narcissist is actively exploiting you.